Hey, good people. Welcome to another Live at 5 presented by Peep TV. I'm your man SRD with my main man, 100 grand, Big Muzz.
Big Must in the house. Salam alaikum, brother.
Walaikum salam and Ramadan Mubarak, my brother.
Having a wonderful day. Today is the last day, bro, of Ramadan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Alhamdulillah. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. And, we missed you yesterday, due to some things coming up, but we here today.
We was in total eclipse. Oh.
Yeah. So, let's get started, brother. Let's get started, man, for the people, man.
Yeah, well, we left off, man, with the understanding that you was bringing clearly about the definition of what we associate ourselves with as being recognizing ourselves as being black.
Right.
And you was bringing some clarity on that, which we were in agreement in a disagreement of why we call ourselves that in associating with our past. And you was bringing a clarity of it, of like, well, that's what they originally always seen us as or called us. And it's documented that as long as we identify and call ourselves that, we'll be under this system that we're on. So we're gonna bring that to a clear, brother, today.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can clear that up today,
yeah,
brother.
Yeah, individuals can go to my Facebook page, Peep TV, live at 5, and you can see a document, the Black Code of Louisiana in 1724. And they using the Black Code and they're referring to us, So that's just, one document just to let individuals know that this whole, black thing is not me personally. I mean, we could call ourselves black all day and all night. However, but when it comes to political, economic, and social standings, it put us at a disadvantage. And that's my gripe, because you were saying that someone was asking you, why were we saying that we couldn't, call ourselves black? And it's not that we can't, it's that it would benefit us more by acknowledging our true origin and the true origin of our ancestors, where it has been documented, and it opens us up to so much more than what we're open up to now as so-called Black Americans, African Americans, Negroes, and what have you. We have ability, and it's a duty. I think it's our duty to correct the lies or the game that has been played on us through the government and America, that has disenfranchised both those who identify with black and those who identify with white, because what it did to those who identified with white is it gave them, I believe, some of them, a superiority complex of feeling like, okay, just because of the color of their skin, they had certain advantages, like they were saying, they were more mentally and educationally advanced than those of us who acknowledge ourselves as black. And then the other part of it is, have you ever noticed when America puts out his story, we're nowhere in this, we're nowhere in anything where it talks about the history of our story. We're nowhere in there. And the only thing it seems that, America promotes is us, supposedly them bringing us from Africa to here and us being slaves for 400 years. And our 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 heritage goes back thousands of years, and it goes back in this particular country at least to the year 711. And during that time, during 711, we were acknowledging ourselves as Moors, meaning I say that I like to say we're more than black. Black is not enough for us because the stipulations surrounding it placed on so-called us as black people in this country, they have put restraints on it to a point where no matter how high we get, as long as we have that label tied to us as black, we become under the jurisdiction of the American government. And the American government has power to take, dismantle, murder, or whatever they feel necessary to continue their power struggle. And we're at a disadvantage because at the end of the day, it becomes a domestic issue. It doesn't become an international issue, similar to during the civil rights. The civil rights was a domestic issue. So even though people heard about it all across the world, it was still something that these are American people and this is between American people. Whereas when you look at Ukraine, Ukraine at one point was under the jurisdiction of Russia, but now they are no longer under the jurisdiction of Russia. So therefore, now it becomes an international issue when Russia says, look, I want to do this to you, I want to do that to you. Now it's international. Now other countries have the ability to intervene.
But they're
Whereas,
not though.
I mean, to a degree, there are because you got America giving
America,
assistance.
we already know what America is, so we know where that's coming from. And,
Right.
and like when you say other countries intervening, and this is my dispute. Like
Go ahead.
when we looking at other countries, and you say we more nationalists, we're more national, and we look at it that in abroad, like if that's gonna change anything, it may not, because look what's happening in Jamaica right now today, right? We have Jamaica, we have Haiti. You know what I'm saying? You
Right.
got Gaza, then you got the Ukraine and what's happening over there. But if you're looking at us as a people that has their own country and their own land, and countries that's happening in Africa, and you're seeing what's happening to them right now, and no one at the United Nations and all this other stuff, nobody is aiding them, and they're at war right now. They're going through it right now as we speak, and nobody's aiding them. So it's like the United States is who she is. The wicked. They're the wicked. To address them and to count on other countries, we see other countries getting wiped out right now as we speak. You know what I'm saying? And they're getting their land taken away from them. They're getting people getting shot and killed like the past weekend. So they're going through it right now, and nothing's being happening with other nations, and they're looking at this because they all have they problems because the big countries that's running everything is the ones that's oppressing, and any little country ain't powerful enough only to fight their own little battle, which theirs over colluded. Like we're over here, they're over there. Jamaica's right over there. Haiti's right there, and they're on their own. They're on their own. And just like we're right here, and we're addressing America as if America and other nations are going to come to our aid and help us and say, yeah, we can stand for this, or we can do this because of this policy, or because of this situation. Like they are aid to us. And as we see things going on, um, how do we bring a people together and glue them together to again go against something, saying that we could get the other nations when we're seeing the other nations is not doing anything with the other nations that look like us that's being wiped out right now. So I don't see how what is the plan to glue this together other than documentation? Because we see they know about the documentation. If you take the documentation back to 17 something, and now because we got the internet and it's out here, all that is out here. Everybody got information. And it is movements that's happening. It's massive movements that's happening. I'm not denying that. But those movements is still, we still have to glue the whole thing together. There's still movements over here. You got this group over here that's doing something. Now you're like you're saying, okay, we're the original Moors of this country, and we have documentation that says this, and this is what we have to do, and we could get from under this umbrella. Okay,
Okay.
so you have other continents or other countries that's knowing their identity, and that's still under the umbrella of America. Like you say, America, Ukraine is against Ukraine. Russia might don't be the bad guy. It probably be Ukraine because United States is helping them. United States ain't helping Haiti. United States ain't helping Jamaica. They're not helping Gaza. They're not helping these countries. So for them, when they're helping a country, they're allies with it. They in bed with that country. Yeah. So when we see their enemy, is that truly our enemy? Is that truly our enemy? You know what I'm saying? And then,
Yeah.
as being a powerful country like that, will they come to our aid? Will they help us? Because we, like I said, we still have things that's going on now today that other countries is going through some serious situations, bro. And nothing is being done, but the people that's there is doing what they got to do to survive. But we watching eclipse. We're outside watching eclipse while these other people's going through some tragical situations. So, and our aid, like, what do we do when we got to rely on other countries as the United Nations to identify us as claiming ourselves? And um how do we get that support that they not even giving now? How do we get that? And how do we know we're gonna get that?
Okay. Let's start with Haiti first. Haiti. Haiti is considered, as I was saying earlier, an internal battle. Haitians fighting with Haitians. That's internal. So that's like a domestic battle between everybody in Haiti fighting against each other. So normally when that goes on, people have a tendency, other states, it's a state on state battle. You know what I mean? The country is internally fighting. I'm not sure about Gaza and the Palestine and Palestine and Israel. I'm not sure if Gaza has its own state. Is it considered a state and they have their own constitution and their own three branches of government? But that's what we're missing. Our first step is to solidify ourselves as sovereign, free of America, and become a separate nation within America, the same way that they did when they freed themselves from Britain and became a separate nation. It's we have it's our responsibility. We can't have anybody help us with that part. That part we have to rely solely on ourselves to come together state by state. We already have 7 states, so that means we would need 43 more states to come together and declare their sovereignty and, register with the United Nations. That's the thing. You register with the Secretary General of the United States, along with America and all them. You give them notice. You're not asking them for permission. You're basically letting them know, look, we're no longer claiming ourselves as your stepchild. We're going back home to our original parents and we're going to become the original family that we were. We're no longer going to be this stepchild called Black, African American, or Negro. We no longer going to be that. We realize that we have been doing ourselves a disservice and actually helping further America's agenda because they have been unchallenged. They've been unchallenged because we haven't been enacting who we truly are, and it's a benefit for them. It's a benefit for them because as long as we stay complicit and
I don't think they not haven't been challenged, because you
I'm,
had many people before us, bro. I think that
let me
you had
clarify.
many people
Yeah, let me
before us.
clarify, but let me
Okay,
clarify.
all right.
Let me clarify what I mean when I say challenged. Challenged on the basis of the legality of calling them to account for something that they have signed into law and agreed upon. It's what's good, what's good, Chauncey, what's good. Um, they agreed. This is something that America and its representatives signed a treaty that they would coexist with the Moors. And anytime we as a people have went at America, we went at America as Americans. We fought even when you say the Moorish Americans, even when the Moorish Americans, they still was going under American. And when they fought against America, it's like you fighting for sovereignty, but yet you're still claiming your adopted parents' last name. So how are you really fighting for sovereignty? How are you really fighting for independence of your adopted parents when you're still using the name that they gave you? In order
So
to
so
go ahead.
do so you said there's 7 states. There's 7 states that govern their own. Their
that
own.
that 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 have put in the proper documentation to be sovereign and gave the United Nations, America, and all the people who needed to be acknowledged that look, we're sovereign.
So
We are
so
no
they
longer
don't they
under the
don't have they
jurisdiction.
so they just put the paperwork in so far.
They put the paperwork in, right? They put the
Right.
paperwork in, and now we need people to fill the seats because once you put the paperwork in, you got empty seats. If you got a government, it's like when you like right now for the House of Representatives, the Congress, you got to fill the seats. Their seats are filled. Our seats are empty because we're trying to fill their seats. So we need individuals to come back home and say, look, what are we worried about? Who's gonna be the president of America? When we can be concerned about who's gonna be the wazir of our nation, our nation of Moroccan nation, our Moroccan empire, and start rebuilding. Because what the one thing that we get to see is that America is not going to ever treat us fair. They're never going to say, okay, you black people, you African Americans, we giving you equal rights. We That's not going to happen. We Just the fact that they offered us civil rights over human rights let us know. And then how many times is it that when the Democrats start campaigning, they start talking about, oh, they're going to take away your voting rights. You know what I mean? So we already know that our true equality is going to come when we are away from their jurisdiction, and then we can start to rebuild as a unified nation. That's where the unity come in, where you say it's about division. It's not about division. It's about unifying under the common banner of what our ancestors were, and get rid of what we've been told, taught, and indoctrinated with, and start accepting. Like, look, hey, we are who we are, and we're not who they say we are. So all of these um, what the stereotypes that follow us, we can rid ourselves of them, and we can start a new generation knowing who they are, not claiming who somebody else kind of convinced us to be in, and we can move forward, and then we can start to assist other countries that you name, because America is not going to assist them, but the Moroccan government can assist them. But as Americans, we can't do nothing but do what we're doing now: watch the eclipse and listen,
So
because we
this
go
is the
ahead.
thing. Okay, it sounds okay. It has to have body. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, okay, I see organizations that is I see organizations that's making a move.
Right,
That's speaking on this. Okay, that's out on the forefront, and they're not speaking on this particularly, but
right,
the
right,
type of movement that is being made. And I see they getting like it's numerous. A lot of people are following a lot of organizations toward that. And my thing is like, and this is what I mean by it's different divisions, because everybody's speaking a different language, the same terms, but everybody just speaking a different language, maybe to get to different sets of people, perhaps, or whatever. But what I'm bearing witness to is like, how do we? That's good, but it's like if it's that powerful, and I hear you talking,
right, right,
and my thing is like, this is my thing is like, okay, if that's so, we're not even showing enough strength in that area to stand on them 7 states to be loud enough. Why we're so silent with it? So and because you gotta see, or it's how you moving also. It's what you feeling also. So if you know you got this power and you got this right, wouldn't you have? Wouldn't this be the agenda? Wouldn't this be the move? So what is lacking in the motivation of having it? Like you, I hear you talking it, but you're the only person I hear talking it. I hear talk of it, but I don't hear no movement or this. And it's still, but I see it's more body in other organizations that's going toward their own, going toward the government, and you want to lean that way because you're like, oh, they got their thing together. You know what I'm saying?
right,
They out on the forefront. Or they got the guys got their thing together. They making moves. You know what I'm saying? New York,
right.
School of Law, they make a move. So it's like when it comes to this movement, and you're saying with documentation with such heavy background,
Right.
okay, why is it so silent? So what is the danger of it that is so silent? You know what I'm
And
saying? And because of social media right now, which I'm sure that's how you came across it, right? With social media being out there, and how social media is today, how do we glue these people, and how do we show them? You said you need people for certain things. How can they be a part of something they can't even see or know that exists because it's silent?
okay, let's start with all the other organizations that you're saying that are coming together, wanting to um, challenge the government or challenging the government. Those individuals, those are the individuals that are needed, because they're already doing the work. However, what they don't have is a state to back them. Now, an organization is just an organization, and it's limited to what it can do. Organization is comes under like an individual. You know what I'm saying? Now, when you have a state, now you have the unity of the state behind you. Let's go this route. Whenever you go to court, it be you versus the state. It don't be you versus the city. It be you versus the state. So the state carries the power. Now, because we don't have enough individuals filling the seats, that's why it's so quiet. And then it's about, okay, now people have to study. I want anyone who listening to you know, go to Facebook Peep Game Live, Facebook, my Peep Game TV live at 5, and you can see the Charter of the United Nations. What was that? The wrong men in the right positions. Uh, it's the wrong men in the right positions. I mean, maybe you got the they need to be in the right positions. You may have the right men in the wrong positions, because if we're being honest, we need to be positioning ourselves away from America's government, but more towards our government. That's what we need to be doing. We
Well,
need
to my understanding, that's what a lot of these organizations are doing. And I believe they do have more than one state. And I don't know if that coincides with the state that you're doing, but it is going on. But they're not naming it, or they're not saying a part of that. You know what I'm saying?
right,
They're not claiming a part of that. Not in because I know they got states, and I know
right,
they make a move, and they make a move on gaining more states of government. So that
okay,
do exist. So that's not like it don't exist. Their approach is different. And to me, it's like if it is the same, you need to get on the same accord, because maybe
right,
it's a purpose why they're not coming to it as we, because like I'm saying, why is they so silent? But I hear so much other things. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's like the United States is already, people are forming their own government in the United States. You're allowed to do that. We see that online. We see a lot of people. They show a lot of situations where people get in traffic situations. They showing documentation, and they belonging, and they claiming they're this, and they're that. We see that. We see
right,
that
right,
action. We see
right,
that action. We don't see nothing beyond that action except for
right,
a little traffic stop and a little paper being thrown. We don't see nothing else.
right,
Okay. And my thing is like, when we want to present something to a people, and when we want to get to the people, we have to bring it to the people in a term of their language so they can understand, so we can attract them. You know what I'm saying? And so we can attract them. Because my first thing is like, if it's that powerful and it's that silent, but I hear movements is being made, and I know movements is being made, and if that holds the documentation that can form that government, because it says by law on
right.
a paper that we have that right.
Absolutely.
And my thing is, you cannot get no one if you're that silent. So if it's 7 states, why 7 states is not announcing that, welcoming that gospel to the people, to invite them to get in a position? And why is they silent?
And
Why is it that they exist, but we don't hear them? And we're on the media. We hear you, and I hear other organizations. Is this the same organizations? Is we did we put another name on it in order to get from point A to point B, because they couldn't get to point A to point B because of the Moroccans, or the Moorish, or whatever have you? Or is it something else happening altogether that you don't know about? And is it more documentation maybe that you don't know about, and you only know about that? And there's other documentation, there's other moves that's being made that we also need to get into and see what's happening. Because we're all making moves individually while moves are being made massive. And the same thing you talking, and the people that you need, I'm seeing organizations like that. So shouldn't we get out and see what those organizations is about, and see if we're on the same movement, but they're moving in silent, but they're moving rapidly. You know what I'm saying? They're getting a hold of a whole people. And when you look at it, some of the organizations, when they don't identify themselves, when they talk about humanity and they talk about man, they talking about the spirituality of everybody. Everybody who's being oppressed. See, America is not just aiming at us, even though some people take the privilege, and they be like, well, we're more privileged than you because we under that. But in America, we all under that same thing. We get the worst of it, but we still all love on it. They don't love none of us. You understand? They taking everything away from everybody. Everybody's getting wiped out. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? They don't, because you remember, they're a corporation. They're not dealing with a humane of people. They're only dealing with green money. They're only dealing with I can use you. They're only dealing with things. I think you sent me something when Russia said um Bill Gates food can't come here. You know what I'm saying? How the other countries is blocking out the
And yeah, something that was in Italy. In
yeah,
Italy, where they don't
that
take the
plant
fake
based
meat.
food. They like,
The
we don't
fake
want none
meat.
of that stuff here.
We don't want
You know,
fake meat.
we don't
Right. Man
we
made
don't
meat.
want none of that here.
Right.
While here we encourage that this is the best way to go and everything, and we adapt to everything else, and and they give us some examples of all meat is this. They throw us some examples. We deal in fear, and then we still fall into in their trap. So my thing is, shouldn't we reach out and see how these organizations is moving? And can you answer why the other 7 states, or is they announcing it, or where do people go sign up? What states are they in, so people can click, go there and be a part of that situation? Because if they don't know,
Right. I'm
we
gonna
ain't getting
well,
nowhere.
what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get the Wazir Regional Council. That's who they can reach out to, the Wazir Regional Council, and the Wazir Regional Council can direct them to whatever states, how to put their state together. They can do all of that. You know what I mean? And the reason it's silent is because there's so few of us doing so much work. And the ones that's working, this is one of the reasons where you asked me why I didn't want to become a officer, because I know once I become an officer, I'm gonna be overwhelmed with the work that has to be done, and I'm not gonna even have the time to be here promoting and letting people know what's going on because I'm gonna be overwhelmed with the work. So I made a decision not to become an officer, and my state of North Carolina is a Moroccan state. But I made a decision. I said, no, I don't want, I'm not ready to do it now because I see that no one else has time because you're so overwhelmed. Remember, you have to come up with the Constitution. Once you come up with your Constitution, now you have to, you have to send that Constitution to the uh, Secretary General of the United Nations, the mayor, governor, all of these individuals. Now, then you have to choose, your three branches of government: legislative, executive, and judicial. And before you can even do your Constitution, you have to claim jurisdiction, latitude, and longitude of each state that you're claiming. And you have to go by the guidelines that are already set up in the charter, the international charter, the United Nations charter. So there's guidelines of how to do this thing properly. And I I don't think, I can't be for sure because I'm not sure the organizations you're talking about, if they've did all of that work or if they're even doing all that work, you know what I mean, to get to the point of them being able to announce it. Now, what would be an ideal thing is, yes, we all come together. And they can still remain an organization, but the key thing is they will be protected by the state of which state they're representing. And that's what we haven't had. We haven't had a state's protection. We've had states against us, but we've haven't had since our ancestors a state to protect us and represent us. We
So,
have, go ahead.
so you're in North Carolina, and you said that's a Moroccan state.
Right.
So what is the population of Moroccans in North Carolina?
Well, the population, you can probably look up on your phone, and whatever the population of Moroccan state, we would claim the population. However, the same but that doesn't mean, because say if it's 1.5 million population in this state, that doesn't mean that 1.5 million people are helping to build the Moroccan government. You know what I mean? That is the whole battle of being able to build your government is to say, look, I accept my nationality and I accept my true identity, and I say I'm a Moroccan Moor. That's my nationality. I'm a nationalist. I'm not a citizen of America anymore. You know what I mean? So you have to start with that in the mindset. You have to accept that in your mind and start study it. You know what I mean? There's documentation to study the treaties.
So I see a lot of that on the internet, especially like when I'm looking at as we describe them as these white men, right? And some of them even went in the court, and I seen them claiming what you're claiming. So that means that they too is claiming a state,
Right.
because I hear them saying that, and I see it, and 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 and
Chauncey
and,
Chauncey say he's a Moor.
and I see it in the real time, in a recorded real time. I see
Right.
that. So
Right.
that means that other people also are claiming the same movement. My thing is, if you and like, what is did you do they go out to, like, when you're making a movement, when you want to get to people, where do you go? You go to the colleges, right? When
Right.
you want to get to our people, what do? You start touring the colleges. You get to college. When they want to get elections, where do they go? They go to the colleges. So my thing is we getting out to the colleges? Is we're making any type of movements to get masses of people like that into what we're doing? Or is we just, I mean, like, what is being done in order to get people? Is there a strategy? Are you reaching out,
And
like,
and and
because you say it take how many people just to make it a state?
I mean, you can make a state with 15 people. You
Okay,
know what I
so
mean? You can
right,
make
so
a
it could be
state,
a
but
state. So a state can hold millions of people, right?
right,
But you could become it only with 15 people.
right.
Okay, so my thing is, just because it's a state and you still don't have the body of people, just because you have seven states, you're saying like you could still only have about 200 members. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
my thing is, what is the strategy to get more in these states, so it could be abroad, so people could be clear? We can't just talk about it's being done. People got to see it in real time that it's being done. You
And
understand what I'm saying?
right, right. No, I understand exactly what you're saying. And see what it's going to take. It's going to take something like what Chauncey said. We don't want the wrong people in the right position. You know what I mean? If a person comes in and they want to be an official, they want to be a part of the government, then we want the right type of mindset for those individuals. Because what we don't want to do is repeat the mistakes of this government here. We want people that, you know,
You'll
have
never
the
know
zit.
who you got until you put it out there.
Well,
Period.
well, no,
Because you got
no,
to
no, no.
evaluate
Listen,
anything. You
listen,
got to
listen,
evaluate all
listen. But listen,
individuals.
listen. I don't
You know what I'm
disagree with
saying?
you with that. I don't disagree with you with that. I told you why it's not being put out there, because you got people trying to put laws together. You got people, you got people. So if
So then, if
look
you
at
don't put it
listen,
out there, how you going to get the
listen,
people? Huh?
listen, listen, listen. I'm helping you. It be you and me and whoever else, whoever we can recruit. So this is what I'm saying. We have to recruit the people. That's why I made a decision to do what I'm doing the way that I'm doing. There's a class called the Impact Study Session that people can go to, pull up Impact Study Session. They can go there and they could, sit there, but they have to be willing to do it. You know what I mean? So
No,
it's
see, this is
go
my
ahead.
thing.
Go ahead.
You going? They got to be willing to do it. That ain't how it work, bro. In the real world, they
What
ain't
do you
how.
mean?
They got to
Come
be
on.
influenced, Doc. They got to be influenced. You're giving people you're going like this. I'm giving them something. I'm telling them it's good for them, and I'm letting it decide, but yet they're being influenced to do the other, to do everything else. You got to be just as powerful to be influential, to influence the people. You can't just be like they could go and they could study, or we want the right ones. We don't want the. You gotta iron them out. You gotta bring the right ones. You gotta have a situation where people could come and get that information. You can't just. This ain't just gonna do it. This is what I'm saying. Do they do tours? Do they go to the colleges? Do they speak?
And I just made you aware, it's not enough people doing what
Bro, it
needs to
don't
be
take.
done.
It gotta be, bro. Listen, it can be that it's not enough people, but you can't tell the people to get enough people. That's
I mean,
crazy.
the reality is, look at the pushback when if like you just said, first you got to try to influence people. Okay, so who's to say when I'm trying to put a law together, I got time to think about what I need to do to influence you to come to what I know will benefit you. Everybody
Because you
don't
need
have to say
help. Because
right,
you
right.
need help, bro.
Listen,
So
but
listen, if that's not going nowhere right now, you gotta be like, let me get these people in so we can make a move. You can't sit here and be like, to seven of us is gonna sit here for another 10 years and we're gonna put this together because it's not enough of us, because nobody could go out there and be like, listen, let's go talk to this college. Let's get it so we could go and speak to this college. Let's go so we could go speak to this high school. Let's go so we could go speak to this benefit. Let's go put this together so we could speak to this benefit, so we could draw somebody out of 100 people. You're gonna get at least 10 people.
now listen, I agree with you. Remember, we are all different. You know what I mean? Even though we're the same, we have different mindsets, we're on different levels, and we have different ways of going about what we're going about. And we have different skills. You know, individuals with skills to put laws together and you know, because there's a lot that has to be done behind the scenes that, you know, you'd have to do some studying or watch some of them impact sessions to know, because look, we got to deal with taxes, we got to deal with, you know, how we going to set up laws to combat what's going on when one of our nationals are pulled over by the police. It's a lot of things that needs to be done. So we need more people like yourself that have a vision to say, look, how are we going to promote this? We need people who are just dedicated to promote it, to promoting the agenda, because that's what America has. America don't have the people writing laws, getting out promoting the laws. You know what I mean? America has different sections doing different things. So we have to have that. And I agree with you. I totally agree with you. We not in no type of disagreement when it comes to the word needs to get out. It's just a matter of coming up with the proper strategy to get the word out. And like you said, got to keep in mind that you can't just say it any type of way because of the mindset of the individuals that you're trying to attract. So some of the individuals you want, for me, all it took for me is my man said to me, we was on the phone and I was on my podcast and I was saying, yeah, man, I'm getting ready to go. I'm getting ready to promote this black power thing, bring us together so we can build our government so we don't have to be under the American struggle. And we're gonna unite as black. And I start putting acronyms for black on t-shirts. I had all of that stuff in mind. Then the brother said to me, uh, I would like for you to consider something. I would like for you to consider that, what if it was your nationality was something other than black? And by you promoting black, you were doing yourself and your people a disservice because you wasn't promoting who they truly are. And if you decided to accept your nationality, it would open up the doors where you would be able to build your own government under your own jurisdiction, not under the jurisdiction of America. So once he said that to me, you know, a light bulb went on because it was like, this is what I want to do. And if I have to, because we all know,
Man, it's getting hot, bro.
yeah, we all know that realistically, Black, African American is not who we are. The majority of us know that. The majority know that our language was stripped, our identity was stolen. We all know that. The majority of us know it. So it comes a time where it's like, okay, if we know that, okay, now if information comes saying, okay, this who you are. So now what are you willing to do to change your conditions as an entire nation of people? And start with your nation and then go globally. Because until we are able to do it as so-called Blacks living in America, it's going to be difficult for us to reach out to Haiti, Zimbabwe, uh, France, London, wherever other individuals are that need our assistance because we haven't done it for ourselves and we haven't started the process of, okay, we're no longer just a people uh, that under the jurisdiction of our so-called uh, step, adopted parents. We are our own people with our own government. Now we get the chance to write our own laws where we don't have to check with the government per se to write our laws or to abide by our laws. That's something we've been missing, for over 200 and something years. You know what I
I
mean?
think I think, in my opinion, this is
Go
just
ahead.
my opinion. I think he might have put a light bulb in your head, and it's a lot of truth to what he said. You know, but in my experience, um, you know, the streets and the people in the streets, the people that live every day and moving about, they function in a different way, and you gotta speak their language. They you gotta it gotta be relative. When you gotta speak a language that they understand. You got massive people that belong to all types of religion, all types of sects, all types of organizations, calling themselves all types of things to identify their situation here in America. When you come at them with so much heaviness and everything, that it's a formation, a format that you have to put it in so they can understand. And if you and my suggestion is like, because I'm still trying to find out where it's at. Like, it's organizations over here, like I said, that's making moves, that's doing things that needs aids and everything else. So I'm trying to see where it's at. And it's the language barrier. You have to know how to get to a people and to speak to a people. I don't think that we're and even like when we say black and you go, well, black, we got to be like this, or we are tying ourselves to that, and we're tying ourselves to this. That ain't how we function, and that ain't how we think. You know what I'm saying? That's in real time. That may be a documentation on that, and they may say that, and they may associate it with that. But out here in the real world, we don't carry it like that. We don't carry like that. And to relate to each other, we say we black. To relate to each other because we know it's a massive movement. So we know when something happened and it's somebody black, we say, yeah, that's one of us. That's one
All
of
right.
us.
So
When
hold up right there. Let me play something for you. Let me see if I can find this.
when we're not speaking the language of the people, we lose the masses of the people.
All right.
Uh,
I want you to listen to this.
Say it again. Don't confuse movement with progress because you can run in place and not get anything done. So, are you moving forward and who you're taking with you and how you made things better by the God-given talent that you all have in whatever area it may be, to write it, to direct it, to produce it, to cut it, to shoot it. You have a gift. It's called a gift.
But that's exactly what we
You were
say.
born with a gift. Now you hone that gift. You develop that gift. You do everything you need to do to protect it, and then you share it. I'll say it again. Don't confuse.
So what I'm saying is, yeah, we got a lot of movements, but
Now I see progress with, bro.
okay, all right. But listen what you were saying. Listen what you hold up. Let me
I don't see progress.
Let me answer your question of
Okay.
what you're saying. What you're saying. You're saying that, okay, here is something that I believe, and you kind of believe too, that could be beneficial to the people. However, you're saying that it has to be broken down in a way, in a language for them to understand. You know what I mean? So do you know how much that takes? Like skills, that takes talents, that takes certain individuals. Everybody don't have that talent. You know what I mean? And for what I'm gathering, the people who are the statesmen, they may not have that talent. So this is why it's not getting out there, because they have a talent where they're talented at, and we can't fault them because they're talented at doing what they're doing. Now it's up to other individuals to take the mantle and say, look, we got to formulate this thing. We got to put this thing out here so that they can understand it, so that they can get it, so that they can, in real time, be able to say, look, I'm ready to be a part of that. I'm ready to make the sacrifices, the changes that's necessary, whatever it may be, to further the agenda of us as a whole. And it's not about belittling any other people. It's about finally being able to get what we and our ancestors want for us, and many of them died for us, to be able to be independent, to be our own people.
But look what you're saying, brother.
Go ahead.
You're saying that we have lawmakers and we have all these people organizing laws and writing laws. And you're telling me that they can't put a movement together to announce what they're doing. They're intelligent to do all this, and they're not intelligent enough to go, listen, all we got to do is book this, show up, and start telling the people this and what we're doing.
But listen what you just said. You just said they pretty much are doing that. But if they're not saying it in the manner that you just said, in a manner that people can understand, it's going on deaf ears. Because remember, as I told you, the one that spoke to me, he does it. He has a show that comes on, a show that comes on every Sunday called Knowledge is the New Power, where he talks about it constantly. However, it's still a mindset that you trying to, it's like you trying to tunnel through something. You trying to chip off hundreds of years of propaganda, hundreds of years of a mindset of, as you said, religion, education. So all of these things plays a part. It's not the fact that the information is not being funneled. So don't get me wrong to say that the information is not being funneled. It's being funneled. It's just not penetrating in the masses that we would like to see, because of whatever reason. Basically, some of the reasons that I named, we got individuals that is difficult. And that's the reason why I was trying to deal with like Black as looking at it, okay, we connect ourselves as Black, and we also are disconnected by Black. So it's a pros and cons type of situation when we gravitate towards Black. It's not all good being Black, and it's not all bad being Black, but it's a tug of war even is it when we acknowledge, for those of us who acknowledge ourselves as Black, it's still a tug of war. It's still this one does that one does that, this one is not separated. So we have to be willing to overcome our emotional connections to certain aspects of our lives, be it calling ourselves Black, be it calling ourselves Christians, be it calling ourselves Muslims. We have emotional connections to titles or certain entities that at the end of the day,
well, at the end of the
do
day,
more
that's what they'll say
separation
about.
than bring us back.
They'll say the same thing about calling yourself for more. At the end of the day, it's a title.
I mean, at the end of the day, but it comes with legal ramifications that neither of those others offer. Neither of the others that I mentioned offer no legal ramifications. There's no political documentation of you being a Christian that helps you politically. You know what I'm saying? Except you go on to church and y'all all vote for somebody, and then certain members of the church.
So how do you get that to the people of the gospel? How do you get that to the massive of people who identify themselves Black that you need in this organization in order to make this move? What is the language you take to them to get them on accord to listen to what you're saying? You have to speak that gospel. You have to speak their language. Because if you don't speak their language, they're not listening to you.
Okay, so
And this is the thing that I'm saying. You can't disregard everything in the action when you're making a massive move. When you're making a massive move, you got to incorporate what moves. If you're in the area, you got to know how that area moves in order to influence those people. In order
absolutely.
to influence those, you can't start regulating everything out. You got to be like, this is what we is. But listen, we identify. But let me tell you the identification and what it is and what it pertains to. So, and that you might have a social media and people got podcasters right now, but let's not get it twisted. Podcast is a verification. It's a nice backup machine, and you got people logging in or from all over where you can't really get. But you also got to do that footwork and get to these institutions out here and book those institutions and get in front of that audience that we're not reaching and that we're not getting to in real time so they can see and feel. It's just like live on TV. I mean, live on the internet. A video might don't do good, but you might drop a reel that do excellent in real time. And we still got to get on the concrete and get to those people. Now I'm sure that in 7 states, of 7 people in 7 states, they have to have some type of organization. Maybe I don't know. I mean, I don't know, bro. I'm just throwing it at you. They have to have some type of organization, especially being in the South. I would say, well, they have to know, do they, that's why I said, do they travel to colleges, the institutions? Because we know that's one of the main keys to travel to the institutions and be like, let me book this. And let me get in front of this audience and let me speak about this. Let me present this. Let me get to the professor.
Okay,
Let me
now
talk to the history professor.
now
You know what I'm saying?
in theory that sounds good, but now you still remember the transition has not been solidified to where Moroccan government is being acknowledged as Moroccan government. Still got that battle. You know what I mean? So we got to battle with America, and we also have to battle with our people to get them to see, look, this is your savior. You're waiting for Jesus to come back. Jesus has came back in the form of your nationality, of who you are, to reclaim your rightful place on this earth. This is your savior. This is what's going to save you.
Now that's a way of connecting the gospel with the gospel. And this is what I'm saying. You got to be able to speak their language, man. Else you not. Then if you don't put it in that perspective, they're not going to get it. They're not going to get it because all they're going to get is another organization taking them here, taking them away from their mother, their America. You're not taking me away from my America, but I hate America. But you're not taking me away from my America. You coming with some hive job, bro, because this is America. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I'm saying. We have to address the people. We have to do some things like Denzel was saying. You got to use your skills. You got to do what you got to do. So
All right,
it's like, see, I know
we
how
about
I.
out of time. Finish your statement. We out of time.
You
Go
got to
ahead,
do
finish
what
your
you got to
statement.
do. You got to speak the language of the people. You got to get out in front of the people, and they got to be able to communicate with you, identify what you're doing, to understand what they could do to help your organization. We got to speak the language they can speak, and we teach them the language we want them to learn later, so they can identify themselves as we take them down that journey, as to be a Moroccan, to be a Moor, and to claim a country under the treaty in the United States of America. So, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I just,
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Okay, United States of America in Morocco. And with that being said, to the next day.
To the next day, brother.
Wish you love, peace, and happiness.
Black and soul. Stay black, black. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Walaikum salam.